I'm going to be sharing with you in this video the secret to self-love that nobody talks about. And I think that not enough people are talking about this topic of self-love and what it really means at the core, because the truth is that once your spirit, once your soul, once who you really are grasps the concept of self-love, which of course is not really a concept, it's something that you really want to ground into your spirit and make real, but it's a concept to communicate the reality of what self-love is. We're going to call it self-love in this video. But once you really grasp self-love, once you ground it into your experience, what you're going to find is that things become a lot easier for you. Now, if you don't have self-love, your life is going to be very difficult. You're going to repeat the same experiences over and over and over, and you're going to be having a hard time manifesting as well. Now, if you incorporate self-love, what's going to start to happen is that it's going to be much more enjoyable, to say the least, and you're going to start noticing that you are a divine creator, and all you have to do is learn how to love yourself. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So this is going to be the secret to self-love. Once again, nobody talks about. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So let's just get right into it. The first thing that I want to share with you in terms of the secret to self-love nobody talks about is that loving yourself is the easiest thing you'll ever do. But at the same time, it's the hardest thing that you'll ever do. Now, what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is that life is going to have challenges. Now, if we believe that life is just going to be peaches and cream and it's just going to be perfect all the time and there's never going to be challenges, not to say that at an absolute level it's not perfection. Of course it is. Of course reality is perfect at an absolute level. Of course everything is all good at the end of the day. But that can create a false expectation. We think, oh, reality is just all light, right? Spirituality is just all light. You know, sometimes there's darkness. And what I find in my experience, especially with a lot of the challenges that I've had in my life in regards to health and certain relationships that are fortunately doing a lot better now as a result of self-love, and of course, once you start to incorporate self-love, these challenges usually fall away. Now, I have other videos talking about the certain challenges that I've incorporated in my life. You can click the link right there to watch that if you're interested in it. So we're not going to get into that in this video. But one of the things that you want to realize is that when your body, when your spirit, when who you really are needs that love, that's when you're going to want to run away and not love yourself, right? That's when you're going to want to look for distractions, look to the external world for solutions, right? Give away your power, give your life force energy out to the external world, believing that you need to look for love out there in order to satisfy yourself. And that's a false belief. It's false. It's not real. It's grounded in a belief system that is not real when you believe that you need to look out there in order to love yourself. Loving yourself is always an inside job, but we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But the first thing that I want to start you off with in this video is to understand that loving yourself is the easiest thing. It's always going to be the easiest thing. Now, at the same time though, paradoxically, it is also the hardest thing, because the last thing you want to do when you're facing a challenge is to pull your energy back into yourself and be in your power. At least that's the last thing the ego wants to do. Who you really are automatically wants to do that because it's the easiest thing, especially when you start to love yourself more and love yourself more and love yourself more and see how beneficial it is and see how much it works and how much better it works in comparison to not loving yourself. That's when you're going to start to build that positive momentum, and you're going to want to keep going and going and going and going and building more of that self-love. But when you're in the ego, when you're in the limited construct that believes reality is very solid and it's very slow and things don't happen at an accelerated rate, what happens is that you try to look for the love out there. And you look for it and you look for it and you look for it and you don't find it. And if you do find it, it's very small amounts that don't really change your experience much, unfortunately. maybe not so unfortunate from an absolute level, because that's a learning experience for your spirit, but relatively it's not a fun experience. And it is quite a shame, because here we are in society looking for love out there, yet it's always inside, and you don't need to look out there. Now, you can find external permission slips in order to love yourself, but that is your spirit choosing to look at those permission slips as a reason to love yourself even more. Okay, now the second thing that I want to share with you in terms of the secret to self-love nobody talks about is that when you least want to love yourself, that's when you need more love. Now, what does this mean? This means that, when you're scared of losing money, for example, let's just say you're afraid of losing money, or you're afraid of losing a relationship, right? Or you're afraid of losing, let's just say you have a community of followers, or something in your life that you've built, right? That you've built. Of course, it's not you that built it. It's consciousness flowing through you, but we'll get to that in another video. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to hear about that, and you want me to talk about that. But let's just say you're afraid of losing money. Now, most people do is to make listen closely, because this is going to change your life. To make sure that I don't lose money, I'm gonna go control the external world to make sure that I don't lose the money that I have. And guess what that does? About 99.9% of the time, even if it works in the short term, in the long term, it always falls apart, because matrix false belief systems will always collapse. The only thing that lasts forever is beliefs that are grounded in truth and self-love. Now, what's happening is that what you've done is you've created a self-fulfilling prophecy, so that when you lose the money, it's like, oh, you see, I told you, blaming out there, once again, giving away of the power. I told you that I had to make sure. It didn't work, but I told you I had to make sure, whoever it is that person's talking to. And you see it happen. I tried everything that I could, but I still lost the money. I still lost the relationship, even though I did everything that I could. But you see, that mentality of looking out there to make sure that things don't go wrong was already a lack of self-love. It was a belief system, a false belief, belief that was grounded in a false belief to begin with, which created a self-fulfilling prophecy and manifested a reality that the person actually created, whether they did it on purpose or not. Now, of course, nobody would do that on purpose if they were conscious of what they were doing, or the way that they were being, so to speak, but they still manifested it. Now, the key is to realize that when you have an urge to go control the external world and sacrifice your emotional state to lower your emotional capacity to feel how you want to feel, that's when you want to do the counterintuitive move and pull your energy back into yourself. For me, what works is to do meditations, okay? When I feel a need to go control the world, or to go do something that makes me feel just numb and not connected to gratitude and unconditional love, I say, you know what? How about I don't do that, and then I just go do meditation instead, right? I sit down, I put on some binaural beats, I feel gratitude, I unconditionally love and accept the moment. And of course, by acceptance, I mean alchemizing the non-wanted into the wanted, but we'll talk about that in another video as well. But this is basically what it is. Alchemy is self-love, right? Self-love can be misinterpreted as tolerating this moment. I'm not talking about tolerating this moment. I'm talking about loving it and accepting it so deeply that you alchemize it into what your heart truly, actually wants. Now, when you least want to do that, you're going to want to go control people, control the situations, control the external world, even control your state of being. But since you cannot control anything out there, the only thing you can control is your own energy. Now, what I mean when I say controlling your own energy, I mean to fully face that emotion that you're scared of and reinterpret it as something that is actually good. It's like, no, actually, you know what? This emotion that I'm facing, I could say that this is something bad, or I could say that it's gratitude. Whatever you call it is up to you. And the mentality and the attitude that you have about the emotion will change the series of experiences that you experience after. If you say that, oh, this emotion means that I'm gonna lose all my money, that I'm gonna lose this, that I'm gonna, or if you say, you know what, I sit down, I'm grateful for the money that I have. I'm unconditionally grateful for this. I allow this to be, and this means that it's gonna allow me to get to where I wanna go. you'll notice that depending on the mentality that you have and the attitude and perspective that you had about that thing that you were scared to face will change how your reality goes. And the more that you practice this, you'll see that you are a divine creator of your reality, and it's about loving the emotion. It's about seeing reality in a way that you prefer to see it, not how people have told you to see it, because that's the way reality works, which of course is not true. Now, the third and final thing that I want to share with you that I think that I think a lot of people do not talk about, okay? They do not talk about this enough. The secret to self-love nobody talks about is that self-love is the secret to manifestation. Do you want to manifest everything your heart truly wants? You need to love yourself more. You need to learn how to face your darkness, face your fears, not even see fear as a bad thing, but as a tool and an opportunity to be more grateful, an opportunity to unconditionally love and accept yourself. See, self-love is the secret to manifestation. I promise you that unless you have self-love, you are not going to be able to manifest your reality. And if you do, listen closely, if you do manifest your reality without self-love, my claim is that you will not be able to sustain it, okay? 99.9% of lottery winners lose all the money that they win within 1 year. That's a statistic. Why? Because they lack self-love. They're scared to lose it, and then they take action to make sure that they don't lose the money. They don't have the skills, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the love to sustain, to maintain, and grow that self-love. The more self-love you have, usually, not always, depends on what your spirit resonates with and what your heart and soul truly wants, but oftentimes the more self-love you have, the more you'll have more money in your life, the more you're gonna have, the relationships you desire, the more you're gonna have everything you want. Now, it doesn't usually have to manifest as money, because it can be a different reflection for each spirit in terms of what abundance really is. Abundance for one person can look completely different than abundance to another person. Abundance to one person can mean, having their own sanctuary to meditate for a couple years or something like that. Another person can see abundance as lots of money, a community of followers, whatever their heart wants at that time in their life, whatever their spirit is resonating with. But the key is to understand that my claim here is that without self-love, you are not going to be able to manifest and sustain in the long term what your heart really wants. So the key is to realize that you do not need to control your external world to manifest what you want. You want to learn to control your state of being, to control your state of being. Now, what do I say control your state of being in that way? Because the paradox is that you're not really trying to control anything. You're unconditionally loving and accepting it the way that it is. But the thing you do have control over is the perspective you have on top of it. But even that, in a sense, is not really control, because of course, let's just listen closely here. This is powerful as well. Where do your thoughts come from? Okay? Your thoughts come from nowhere. You don't choose your thoughts. Your thoughts pop in from divine consciousness. Now, you can choose certain thoughts and start to choose certain things with the illusion that you're choosing it, but of course it's not you choosing it, it's divine consciousness flowing through you. Now, still, of course, you are choosing it, and that's the paradox of life, is that you're both not choosing things and choosing things at the same time. Now, however you want to see it, consciousness is flowing through you. It is flowing through you, right? And the more that you surrender your ego and allow consciousness to flow through you, and allow yourself to feel how you want to feel despite what is happening in the external world. I think that's a great collection of words to describe the paradox. I'm going to say that one more time. Allow yourself to feel how you want to feel regardless of what is happening out there. I'm going to say that one more time. Allow yourself to feel how you want to feel regardless of what is happening out there. That is the secret to self-love right there. That's what self-love is. Self-love is giving yourself permission to feel the emotions that you want to feel. What is an emotion? It is energy in motion. It is a particular feeling. It is a particular state of consciousness and frequency and vibration. And to give yourself permission to feel that thing that you want to feel that emotion you want to feel, gratitude, love, unconditional love, abundance, of whatever, regardless of what is happening out there. And then when you give yourself permission to do that, then the external world starts to follow those feelings. See, most people try to change the external world to get that reflection. But reality is reflecting your state of being. So when you give yourself permission to feel how you want to feel, regardless of what is happening out there, then you start to manifest. And that's what self-love is saying, regardless of this challenge, regardless of what's happening, I choose to be grateful. I choose to feel this way. And then of course, that challenge gets transmuted into something greater, into something more powerful that helps you and helps others, because it's extremely inspiring and motivating when you connect to that space and lead by example and do not allow the circumstances to control your state. You say, no, I don't allow this situation to control my feelings. I control my feelings by giving myself permission to feel how I want to feel, regardless of what is happening out there. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video. Also, please hit that like button for me so that more people can get access to this content, because I do believe that every single person on this planet does deserve to know that they are the creators of their reality and that they can manifest their reality and do so in the most effortless and easeful way possible. And hitting that like button does help the YouTube algorithm push the videos out to more people, and that would be greatly appreciated. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next